This discussion is brought to you by Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce, Young Professionals, and the Hawaii Island Realtors Young Professionals Network. My name is Dennis Lin, and I am the chairperson for the Young Professionals here at the Chamber. I work at HPM Building Supply as the Holiday Plus Modular Home Program Manager. The Young Professionals at the Chamber, we focus on three different areas. One is member education, community service, and social networking. And our group is made up of like-minded individuals who want to learn more about business, network, and grow together as we start up our careers here at the Chamber. And we have two events coming up. First one is the Halloween virtual mixology event, which is provided to us by Naniloa Hotel, and that will be at the end of this month. And next month we have UH Hilo Reverse Career Fair, which will involve students, providing videos, presenting themselves to employers. And now I'll pass it on to Jade.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. I am Jade Halama. I'm a realtor with the Hawaii Island Realtors Board. I am the chair for the Young Professional Networking for our board members. We focus on the young professionals that are coming in our industry in education and make sure we're all up to par on our code of ethics. We also have some events coming up that we're planning. We would love to do a toy drive this holiday season for our keikis out there. So hopefully we can put something together that is COVID rules, I guess, to make sure that we comply. And yes, thank you guys for having me.
All right, and then now I'll pass it on to Miles Yoshioka, who is our executive officer of the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to express our sincere thanks to Lieutenant Governor Josh Green for all that he's doing for our state and our island, and for really making his time available to our members and to help us better understand our current COVID situation. And again, thank you to all of you for being here today. I'd like to thank our young professional organizers from both Hawaii Island Chamber and the Hawaii Island Realtors, who really partnered to make this event happen. So mahalo to you guys. And events like this wouldn't be possible without the commitment and financial support of our event sponsor, Jace Takea of Eclipse Effect Events, our members, and especially our very generous special investors who I'd like to recognize. Starting off our special investors, we have our Emerald investor, KTA Superstores. Our Diamond investors, HFS Federal Credit Union, HPM Building Supply, the Grand Naniloa Hotel, Hawaii Tribune Herald, and Kamehameha Schools. Our Sapphire investors include CU Hawaii Federal Credit Union, Hawaii Community Federal Credit Union, and HMSA. Our Ruby investors include Honua Ola Bioenergy, Simplicity HR by Altrez, Hawaiian Electric, HouseMart, Inbound808.com, Altrez Staffing, Wesley R. Segawa and Associates, and WH Shipment Limited. And finally, our Topaz investors include American Savings Bank, Turklets and Katz, Hetherington, Harris, and Knorr, attorneys at law, Isamoto Contracting, Bank of Hawaii, Big Island Toyota, Big Island Candies, First Hawaiian Bank, the Fairmont Orchid, and Smart Plumbing Hawaii. Mahalo everyone for your support. Back to you, Dennis.
Thank you, Miles. At this time, we'll give a brief background on Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. So Josh Green is a local doctor, husband, and father of two who has spent his life caring for Hawaii's families. After completing his medical training, Josh joined the National Health Corps and started his life's work as a family physician and ER doctor in rural hospitals and clinics on the Big Island. Josh served in the Hawaii State House of Representatives from 2004 to 2008, and in the Hawaii State Senate from 2008 to 2018, where he chaired the Health Committee and Human Services Committee. The hopes, challenges, and values of the family he cares for inspire Josh to do more to make life better for the people of Hawaii, and he's honored to serve as the Lieutenant Governor. As we wait for Josh Green to sign on, we're gonna do a little intros on how you can join our Young Professionals networks here at the Hawaii Island Chamber, and as well as the Hawaii Island Realtors. So for the Hawaii Island Chamber, we meet on the second Thursday of every month, right now via Zoom. And you can reach out to me. You can contact me at 808-854-7025, or you can email me at dennis.lin@hpmhawaii.com. Jay, do you want to introduce your program?
Yes, so for the Young Professional Networking for the Hawaii Island Realtors Board, we are accepting members of our board if they would love to come and join our committee. We're happy to have anybody, it doesn't matter age or anything on there. We, as long as you're a member that is there with, ideas and commitment, we are happy to have you. You can contact me at j.halama@corcoranpacific.com or 808-439-9433. Also, you can contact Ashley and Keao at the HIR, Hawaii Island Realtors Board. They'll be happy to connect us together. We meet once a month for our members committee to come up with our ideas for our next event for our members and our community. That's our main goal, is to definitely get out there and help our community. This year was a little hard based off of the circumstances, but we have some great ideas for next year, and we would love to get out there and help our keikis, our kapunas, and just help our community.
Thank you everybody for waiting. We have here Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. So thank you again for taking the time to talk with us. And right now we have about 40 people watching this live right now. And we've pre-selected some questions from our memberships, and we'd like to, run these questions by you, see what your thoughts are. The topic of our discussion today is COVID and the future.
So through the CARES funding, we have about 2 months left of rent and mortgage assistance. Housing affordability before the pandemic was already an issue for our Hawaii residents, our island residents, and homelessness was already an issue. What can we do to ensure that we do not have a mass wave of evictions and homelessness once the federal funding runs out?
You want a candid answer?
I want your answer.
If you want resources for housing assistance, you're going to have to, and I'm not saying who we should support or shouldn't support, but if we support Donald Trump, he's going to be very reluctant to do that kind of support. If we support Biden, he's probably going to be very supportive of such a plan. I mean, that's just where their policies are lying, and it's been stated quite clearly. I'm not here to do a partisan political thing at all, but that's the likelihood of the funding. If we're talking about funding for homeless or housing security, it'll be very thin for COVID-related problems. Now, we could get to a situation where we get to open our economy significantly because two things. I'm opening us on the 15th of October, and so we're expecting to see some significant tourism return soon, but it'll only get up to 45% occupancy by about March. So even that's going to be somewhat limited, and that limits resources, of course. The other thing is we will get a vaccination, which will be excellent at some point, but we won't be fully vaccinated till deep into the spring at the soonest, the very soonest. So it's a challenge. And like I said, I don't do political pitches here. You guys know my bias in general, but I'm trying to stay fair on any conversation I have, but that's where the money will be more likely to come from for that kind of thing. There might, on the flip side of that argument is there could be small business loans that are more aggressively pursued by Donald Trump. That's possible, you know, if people are of a different political flavor.
So our next question is, you know, our chamber, you know, is a lot of businesses. So what is your advice to those businesses, you know, who are planning for the next year, 2021? You know, they're struggling to, you know, get through 2020 right now, but budget season is coming upon us. You know, people are trying to plan. What is your advice for them?
My advice is that 2021 should be, well, obviously will be far, far better than 2020. There's almost no doubt about that. If they're talking about budgetary planning from state government, the budgets are going to be leaner, but that's not really where they are. There could be some delays if some businesses require support for regulation. There's just people are probably going to be away from work 20%, at least 10%, maybe 20%, depending on the furloughs that the governor ultimately decides he has to deploy. I would say from a pure business standpoint, I don't think that there will be a race to raise taxes, so I don't think that will be the concern. I think it will be instead cuts to business, so I don't think you'll see a big spike in taxes. Can't promise that, but I don't think that that's the direction that I'm hearing people go. I would say that we are going to, in my opinion, see a likely rigorous return to economic security, because I think that we're going to way outstrip people's expectations on travel. We're already seeing an uptick just with the signal that we're opening. Once we are actually open, I think a lot of people are going to come to Hawaii because in general, it's safer. It's still in America. We're going to have the testing in place so that there will be lower rates of disease overall, which is good, and more security. So I think Hawaii is going to be a pretty good place to, it'll be kind of a safe zone is what I think overall. So I think people should budget probably for, I don't know, 80 cents on the dollar earnings next year. There'll still be some delays in return to the economics that we're used to, but it's not going to be like shut 70% of the time. That's not going to happen.
Great. Thank you. Jade,
That
have the next question.
That was good to hear. Thank you. So we always hear about how we should be attracting tech companies to Hawaii to boost our economy, and that our schools need to focus on STEM programs for our keikis. The recent pandemic has shown deficiencies from processing unemployment application and managing contract tracing. How can we grow our local tech industry to better serve our residents?
Great question. And we need to. Growing tech is very sensible, as we've learned, because that's one place where we can do better. And honestly, if it's all tourism all the time, it's vulnerable. We've seen that in a couple instances. We have to support the universities to actually have the training programs, and we can't allow significant cuts in those programs right while we're trying to build that out. Also, there may very well need to be some incentives for tech and for industry. I don't know if we're going to get tax breaks for people during this downturn, but that would be helpful. If we can appropriately lure private equity in to start more training programs, apprenticeships and so on, it's good. It's a good time because we will be a pretty vibrant economy as compared to many places fast. And these are going to be good jobs. You don't have to look any further than what Patrick Sullivan's doing over at Oceanit. I mean, he could very well create $1 billion enterprise right off the bat with his testing, which will tie into tracing, which will tie into application software, all those things fast. So keep getting educated, keep having people go through these programs. And if the Dells or others of the world want to set up an institute here, it's a good opportunity.
Yeah, so that issue really touches upon our island a lot, because one of our biggest exports is our educated students are going off to find jobs elsewhere. So how do we create a economy that fosters job creation here on the Big Island and in the state?
It's very difficult because the most natural economic activity in Hawaii is tourism, hotels, just the beauty of Hawaii. We're branded so strongly and so much better than almost anywhere else in the world that it's natural for us to fall into those lanes very deep. And of course, a lot of people have other interests. Like I have healthcare as an interest. Other people might have realty as an interest. Other people have, there's so many interests, right? But that's the default position that gets favored because it's the most likely secure industry in the state. It's the most likely long-term gain industry. And it sometimes elbows other things out, a lot of other things out. So if there are industries that are connected to it, it could help us. That's why we talk about like culinary institutes, hotel schools, and so on. Those are also good places in business. Although we still, like, I'm not interested as a person in those things, so I would never go to hotel school. I mean, not that I don't think it's great. It's not my thing. But people in other industries are less likely to get big tax breaks or incentives to come in, whereas other places, like, for instance, there could be other areas. We went deep into solar, which made some sense for us, right? But if someone's going for high tech, that's why Silicon Valley was so dominant. They reached critical mass early with a decent business climate for that. We could achieve those things though if we put our minds to it. There was a lot of talk about Google moving a whole campus over here under some circumstances when the pandemic broke out, because they could contain a campus in a safe area with not a lot of COVID. So something to think about.
Definitely. A lot of us here are getting a little bit stir crazy because we can't go out for gatherings. And, what is the state's plan working with the counties to figure out, how to increase the limit of people who can gather together?
Well, it's discussed every 36 hours to 48 hours constantly. You're Big Island, right? So you're going to have some major changes. Mayor Kim has a very interesting approach to it. He, in some ways, has been willing to open up outdoor spaces sooner than other counties. On the flip side, he's keeping the economy in the county closed longer, or potentially longer, by asking for additional security measures. And I'm not being overtly critical. I'm just saying that that's what is basically the situation. The numbers have been dropping. The case counts have been dropping. There's the simple plan is a plan that people won't accept for the most part, and that is that wearing masks is absolutely the answer, far and away better than any other answer. And that's not just because me as a doctor is saying that. I was with Fauci yesterday for 30 minutes, and that is the answer. On Big Island, we only have a mask wearing rate of 57%. On Oahu, they have an 84%, which means that they will spread way less in general. But when adjusted for population, there are outbreaks. I mean, they got 800,000 people on Oahu that are tightly packed, so they get outbreaks. But if Big Island had an 84% mask wearing rate, we would have no virus, we'd have no risk, we'd have no restrictions. So that's the big challenge. But we're kind of, free thinkers on Big Island and in the rural areas, and a lot of people just won't wear masks. As long as that happens, we're going to continue to get lockdowns and or have restrictions on being able to really get going.
Got it. Well, we're going to try harder then here on the Big Island.
It would be good.
So,
it would be helpful.
I know your heart is, on the Big Island, and what is your message to those watching? And, very candidly, what's your thoughts and your words of encouragement for the people of the Hawaii Island?
Well, Hawaii Island is doing great. Actually, all things being equal, it's amazing how successful Hawaii Island has kept things at bay as compared to most of the rest of the country, with the single exception of the VA, which is happening everywhere. There are those exact same tragedies in every state where a nursing home or facility gets overrun, and individuals who are older and they don't ask to be resuscitated, they're in great peril when they get COVID. It's a very high mortality rate. The advice I would give to Big Island is kind of what I was just saying a moment ago. If we have 100%, 95% adherence to mask wearing, we can write our own course. We do not have to worry about other people pushing policies at us. We don't have to worry about restrictions, because whether they're travelers or no travelers, whether there are Oahu type mandates or not, the numbers will be so low based on our community success of preventing preventing community spread, that we won't have to worry, that we will get the green light to open, to be active, to be healthy. We won't put pressure on our healthcare system and so on. So I think that that's the best message I can give. That and social distancing is very good. And the faster the numbers drop to nothing, the quicker it is for us to just be normal, to be able to go to beaches with first family and then with friends, and to be able to have regular economic behavior, have our businesses be open. That's really the best thing. Sure, the vaccine will be great. Absolutely. There are some rules that work better than others. I mean, bars are a higher risk, even though I like restaurants and bars very much as friends. They are somewhat of a higher risk, but none of that is of consequence if we have a very high mask wearing rate. We can manage everything, and then we get through COVID and we get back to normal sooner. So that's the best advice I can give to friends, and I wish that we will achieve that, soon, because then we're in the clear. Though the vaccination is coming, and that's only 3 or 4 months away. So, that will be a great relief, but there's no guarantees with that just yet. The mask guarantee is 98.5% prevention if both people are wearing a mask. And it's cheap, it's easy. And I think it's a good trade-off rather than all the other really tough inconveniences that we face.
So there is a question here. Can you give those of us who are on the East Coast the name of a mail-in acceptable test that will give us the results in time to get on the plane?
Yes.
Still get the last leg of our 72 hours.
Yes, so they have to use the trusted partners, and those trusted partners, list them and you'll figure out which ones are where. So CVS, Walgreens, Kaiser, then there are mail-in tests. The mail-in test that's very reliable is Vault, and it's a FedEx mail-in, and it's quite easy. We will also be testing at several of the airlines. Will be doing it depending on who you're getting near. American, United, Alaska, and Hawaiian Airlines. There are some other partners, but those partners will quickly get you to a test from the region, and you can get a test. It's like 5 to 14 minutes, a rapid test which I recommend. Have a negative test already confirmed. Don't show up in Hawaii waiting for your test result, because if you get unlucky and you're positive, you could end up being quarantined for 2 weeks in Hawaii.
Thank you for that. And what Barbara is saying here, that on her side, CVS still doesn't know anything about this test.
They will make their final announcements once they get within 5 days, it looks like. But the websites are actually up on at least the ones that they showed me. I don't know if they were national or the West Coast, but CVS is already promoting it as a travel test. And irrespective of that, if they go and get the test, I guess sometimes people won't run a test if you're not approved or you don't have an order, but that is the place to go to get it. These trusted partners are the way. And if people go to hawaiicovid19.com, there's lots of links. Some of those links should take them to their region. But if there's a problem, if they're having difficulty, use Vault. Vault is they're devoted completely to this, their company. So there won't be any question in their minds. You go to Vault's website, which I believe is linked on our webpage there, and you can also just Google it, and they will send you the test. They walk you through the test on a telehealth visit like this. Just do the quick swab, you put it in, and you mail it, and you get your result 48 hours later.
We have family moving to Hawaii in November. Will they have to quarantine?
Not if they get a test. If they get a pre-test within 72 hours of their departure, they will not have to quarantine.
That's all we have for the Facebook Live questions. We want to thank you again, Lieutenant Governor, for your time and your feedback on all these questions. We appreciate, all the work that you're doing for the state.
Thank you.
And I look forward to your updates every day. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks, man. Take care. Aloha.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, you bet. Nice to see you guys. Take care.
Same here.
Bye-bye.